Yeah, good afternoon, brothers. How you guys doing? Welcome to episode 15 of the Blood Angels Army List show. 15 episodes now. That is a lot of lists we've looked at, so I guess this will be us up to 75 lists we've looked at after today. So thanks for tuning in, as always, on a Sunday. It's much appreciated. Greetings, Arcsuit. Greetings, LL, Roadkill, Gabriel, Willis, Mark, Gary, all the way from Canada. Nice. Good afternoon, everyone. How you doing? And happy Easter. I hope you like my picture here. Someone posted it on the Discord earlier. I love the yellow in this helm, actually. I don't know if I have any assault beak heads with the actual blood drop on the middle. Thanks for letting me know, audio is good, Carrie. So, but this is awesome. I mean, I would have probably painted that little blood drop maybe like Gene Stealer Pink, is it? Or Screamer Pink, sorry. Gene Stealer Purple is the one. I would have probably painted it Screamer Pink, but I mean, it's still a very cool helm. Maybe this is the Sergeant, and yeah, it fits well. What is the arm with? Is it a las cannon? It's hard to tell, but it's a cool picture. So yeah, if you enjoyed today's stream, what I would really appreciate you do is if you hit the little thumbs up button on the video. It just really helps out, lets other people find the videos, tells YouTube algorithm that my videos were actually decent. So on any of my videos that you enjoy, please consider hitting that thumbs up button. It really helps me out. Okay, and as always, we'll take any questions that we have from the chat. Hey Julian, Jason, Steele, tuning in a little bit after. We'll take any questions you guys have on the chat on rules. And I guess real quick before we get started, we'll talk about what's coming up on the channel as well this week. So tomorrow night we actually play Death Guard, and it is a very strong Death Guard list, and it is a Mortarian based list. So I have this new Vanguard Patrol list that's on a 4-game winning streak. So we're going to see if we can. It's a flamer. Okay, I couldn't quite tell. Yeah, I mean, I guess it sort of looks like a flamer. So we're going to take that against Death Guard tomorrow. So that should be pretty fun. It's probably going to be like hobby/building video coming out on Tuesday, and then weekly tactics video as normal on Friday, and we'll probably do a hobby hangout maybe like Thursday night as well. So yeah, busy week again, and let's jump into. Oh, let's not do that first. Let's talk about today's lists, because we've got 5 lists to do today, and the lists, as always, we do a couple of lists from members and then a couple of lists from non-members. So our members list this week are Kevin and Tom said his list is a Death Company list, so that should be pretty interesting to see. And the 3 lists we've got from non-members are Anti-Naniel, D-King, and Thomas. And you know what, we'll just jump in and look at who's up next week as well. I think next week is this 2 weeks ahead. So next week we have Steve T, Tom Harris, Solus 1994, James, and I'm not sure how to say your name. Slalomer. I hope I'm saying it and not brutalizing it. Yep. We're always doing win streaks, Mark, though. So I mean, may as well tell you guys about the win streaks, because yeah, I mean, Goonhammer said Blood Angels are like low tier 2, and Death Guard are high tier 1. So I guess we'll see how we get on tomorrow. Should be a fun game, but yeah. So that's 7:30 tomorrow night. Okay, so today's first list is going to be Kevin. And what we always do with these streams is after the stream is finished, we will post up all the lists into the comments section for the stream. So if anyone wants to come back and look at the lists, you thought like, oh wow, Kevin had a great list, you can do that. You can get all the lists from the comment section after the stream is ended. And then also, as always, we will score these lists out of 50. And we score them on various categories, objective holding obsec, the ability to clear infantry and hordes, the ability to kill much higher damage like vehicles, monsters, etc., how mobile they are, and then finally, is the list too specialized in any sort of fashion, right? Like, is this list great at killing monsters, but it just can't do anything else, or is this great at mobility, but it doesn't have a lot of damage? We try and score all the lists out of 50 to tell you if you have a good and balanced list. And right, so we're gonna start with Kevin, and I love you guys chatting away. You can say whatever you want in the chat. You don't put me off. It's absolutely fine. Audio is starting to pop. Is it? This microphone hasn't done this for a while. Let me switch and you can tell me if you can still hear me okay. Testing. Can you hear me okay now? Hey Martin, how you doing? I do have two microphones set up here because I kept having issues with one of them, so if the audio is good, we will jump into this first army list. I'm just waiting on someone in the chat to say they can hear me. I mean, on my side it looks fine. There's a hiss in the background. Is it still doing it? Okay. Great. Okay. Alright. I guess we'll have to go with it. Sorry. I can probably try and switch back. Audio input capture. Testing. Yeah, I mean, I have two microphones. Alright, well, please just let me know if it... I mean, I guess I need to buy a third microphone. This is ridiculous. No, I mean, it's not... there has been audio issues. Okay. So, alright, I would love for you to tell me how good this is. I took the Thunderhammer and the Plasmas on the Vanguard Veterans squad because I ran out of actual Storm Shields to model, and this is what I have. So this is Unnamed Army 1, and this is by Kevin. Okay, so, alright, well, I'll just try and keep a monitor on the audio. Just shout if it's... Just shout if there's problems with it. Okay. And the sound is clear on Twitch. Thanks for letting me know. Okay. So we start with a patrol detachment in this list, and I'm guessing... So it's 2 patrol detachments. Alright, so I guess we lose 2 CP for starting this, and I guess that's what he's got here. So it's a 10 CP list. It starts to pop as soon as we switch back. Maybe it's... I was going to say, maybe it's a thing with people watching on Twitch, but I'm not sure. I think what I need to do, Roadkill, is actually just buy a new microphone. Like, you can see this microphone here, right? It's got like a big fancy stand and everything, but it's just not being good. So, I don't, you know, I've had to turn the gain way up on it because, like, it's really, really quiet otherwise, and I guess that's why you get the horrible hiss. So, yeah, I think I just need to buy a new microphone. Maybe I can reuse the stand, because, like, stand's pretty cool. It's on, like, a tripod arm. So, we'll see. Okay. So we have a Librarian Dreadnought with a Meltagun, who is the Chief Librarian, and he has Quickening and Wings of Sanguinius, and I guess, Kevin, he can have 1 more power. Because Chief Librarian lets you pick a 3rd power, so I'm guessing you're going to take Shield or Unleash Rage. Both are situational and both are good. Then we have the Chapter Master on the bike, who is upgraded to the Master of Sanctity, and I think, again, you can take an additional litany here, and I guess you probably want Canticle of Hate. Does the Games Workshop app not let you pick the additional stuff, maybe, once you select it? Litmus. I don't know how to turn that off. I think that's a Windows alert. Hopefully it won't come back. Okay, so you think you want Canticle of Hate, or you also want... I was going to say... Oh, you've picked Canticle and Mantra. Alright, so you get lit... Oh, come on, go away, you stupid Windows pop-ups. Settings. Turn off all notifications. There we go. Okay, yeah, so sorry, it already has Canticle of Hate. I thought that was Litany of Hate, but the Games Workshop app doesn't let you pick. Okay, so he has picked 2 litanies, that's fine. So I guess like it just doesn't tell you the default stuff, right? So he also has Litany of Hate. It's just weird that you don't. It doesn't usually tell you the default stuff, I guess. We then have one Infiltrator Squad, Infiltrator Sergeant, just a stock Infiltrator Squad, nothing fancy around that. We have 10 Sanguinary Guard. I believe in the Games Workshop I believe in the Games Workshop app, swords are default, so I'm assuming this is 10 Sanguinary Guard with swords and bolters. We then have Vanguard Veterans, and it is one squad of 10. 8 have Lightning Claw and Storm Shields, which are great. The Sergeant has Lightning Claw and a Storm Shield. Okay, and then we have just one guy with a Plasma Pistol and Thunderhammer. I'd probably make that guy with the Plasma Pistol and Thunderhammer then the Sergeant, right? Because you'd get that extra attack with the Thunderhammer. Because I feel like that would be the best. Like, if you're going to pay the 12 points for a Thunderhammer and it's the only Thunderhammer in the squad, I would probably put it on the Sergeant. And he can die last, so hopefully it'll be fine. You'll take all the saves on the other Storm Shields anyway. So I think I'd probably switch that around. And then we have 2 attack bikes with multi-meltas. Hey Adam, how you doing? Tomb of Malkor does now give the extra power. Okay. And thanks for letting me know, Chris. And then the second detachment has a chapter master on a bike. It's so annoying it doesn't tell you the loadout. So I guess it's just... I actually don't know the default loadout of a captain on a bike. A default loadout is like a bolt gun and... It'll be a master-crafted bolt gun, is it? A master-crafted bolt gun and a chainsword? Okay, I mean, I guess that's fine. It's not what I would pick, for sure. I mean, the master-crafted bolt gun definitely seems wasted in that the bike has a twin bolter on it anyway. So, like, I much prefer an infernal pistol. I guess Kevin hasn't really picked any additional warlord traits here, so we'll make some suggestions too. And then he has made the Sanguinary Priest with the jump pack his warlord, and he has given him the Teeth of Terra. Okay. We have another Infiltrator squad. We then have a Death Company squad. It's going to be 8 Chainsword guys and 2 Thunderhammers, and then we have the Redemptor Dreadnought with the Macro, Onslaught, and Rocket Pods. And this is starting with 10 CP, which is a lot. Hey Martin, hey Matt, how you doing? So yeah, it starts with 10 CP, and I guess some thoughts on this list. So this list lacks firepower. It has decent area denial with the 2 Infiltrator squads. It's very decent close combat with a 10-man Sanguinary Guard, 10-man Vanguard Veteran, 10-man Death Company. I feel like the characters could be given some more. Like, we could take... I would probably take Wise Orator on this chaplain, and basically get this chaplain to do his litanies on 2s. So that would cost like 1 CP. I'd probably lose the Teeth of Terra off the Sanguinary Priest and just assume that the Sanguinary Priest is not going to be, and put the Teeth of Terra on your bike captain. If you want the Sanguinary, like the Sanguinary Priest is an interesting one. Like, he can do okay in combat. He does have 8 attacks. He does have Weapon Skill 2 with Teeth of Terra, but you are risking him every time you put him into combat, right? So I'd probably endeavor to get your captain in combat and just not get the Sanguinary Priest in combat. And I'd probably maybe even take Benediction of Fury on the Primaris chaplain on the bike, because the Benediction of Fury with Mantra of Strength makes his weapon just disgusting. I think it makes his weapon like Strength 7 minus 2 or minus 3 once we're in Assault Doctrine, and it's 4 damage and 6s do mortal wounds. I think it's a great upgrade. I would pay the 1 CP for sure. So I think you could spend 2 more CP pretty easily before this battle. Take the Benediction of Fury, give this guy the Wise Orator, and I'd maybe swap this relic around, and I'd probably try and find a way in this list to get some points to make this captain on a bike better. I don't think the Mastercrafted bolt gun really adds anything to him whatsoever. I mean, if you think about it, Mastercrafted bolt gun is rapid fire 1, -1, 2 damage, and the twin bolt gun is rapid fire 2, no AP, 1 damage. So all the Mastercrafted bolt gun gives you is -1 AP. You do the same amount of damage that the other gun that's on the bike. And you don't really expect to do much damage with those guns anyway. So I would totally replace that. Infernal Pistol or Storm Shield if you want him to be even more survivable. So I guess you need to find a few points. I mean, you could find enough points for the Infernal Pistol just by dropping the rocket pods on the Dreadnought. The rocket pods are kind of one of the weakest things I can see in this list that you could find some points in. It is good that you've got the Thunderhammer Death Company, and I guess the Sword Sanguinary Guard 10-man squad does 50 attacks. Combined with a Warlord, they do a ton of damage. Vanguard Veterans, again, it's going to be a lot of attacks, probably 50-ish from the squad. Combined with like rerolls or Descent of the Angels, again, they'll do a lot of work. However, so I'm running 3 attack bikes and 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts in my list, and I feel like that is a really nice amount of shooting power. And I guess if we just work that out, right? I run my Redemptors 1 with Macroplasma Onslaught, and 1 with Macroplasma Flamer. So my Redemptors are 180 plus 175, and then I've got 3 bikes at 165 for the bike. So I'm coming in at 520 points of shooting, and I feel like that is a very decent balance. So this just feels a little bit light, like 300 points of shooting. I would probably, there's 2 options that I see. I would maybe drop like 2 Death Company Marines and 2 Vanguard Veterans, or even 2 Sanguinary Guard, depends on, like, the Sanguinary Guard will generally overkill things with a 10-man squad. I'd probably drop 2 Sanguinary Guard and 2 Death Company Marines and like get another couple of attack bikes maybe. Or drop a little bit more and get that second Redemptor. The thing about having 2 Redemptors is I think that 2 Redemptors take a lot of firepower to take out. 1 is kind of like it's going to be a big target. Can't remember who it was said. It was someone in the Blood Angels Commander. No name on the screen for the current list. Oh, I just forgot to click the button. Thank you, Carrie. So someone told me, when you're running Dreadnoughts, you almost need to just always run 2 and expect in the other player's first turn that they will kill 1. Now that doesn't always happen, right? Because you can deploy your Dreadnoughts in obscured positions. They do have an 8-inch move, so I like to deploy mine in obscured positions and then bring them out in turn 1. So if I don't get turn 1, I don't get shot off the table before I get to use them, right? But I guess it's something to be said is like if you do have 2 Dreadnoughts, expect one of them to get killed pretty early in the game, and then you're on to just having 1 Dreadnought. So if you just have that 1 Dreadnought, if you lose that Dreadnought, like, how does that affect your game plan? I think it's pretty important to have the Dreads in this list, because if you need to make space for your units to charge, or you need to get enemies out of rhinos and stuff, and the last battles I've played against, there's been like really high threats inside rhinos, and I've done really well. Then I've managed to kill those rhinos early in the game with the shooting, so that it's stopped those high threats like really getting going against me. So I think 300 points or just under 300 points of shooting or solid shooting. I mean, I know there's a bunch of bolt guns, but I don't really class bolt guns as like effective fire. Like they'll take a couple of wounds off, but they're never just going to wipe a squad or wipe out a rhino or anything like that. Whereas, like, I think this week, like we wiped out a Leviathan Dreadnought in 1 turn with 2 bikes. We wiped out a rhino with like a Redemptor and a couple of bikes. So I think that it's important to have maybe a little bit more than that. And then, yeah, I mean the unit, the Sanguinary Guards with swords is fine. The Vanguard Veterans with shields are really strong right now. I like them a lot. the Death Company with 2 Thunderhammers and the rest Chainsword. I think they're the weakest of the 3, but I think they still have a place. I don't run Death Company at the moment because it annoys me they can't do actions, but I do think that they have a place. I'm just not running them right now. Against armies that do a lot of mortal wounds, I guess Death Company have a slight edge over Vanguard Veterans. And you know what? They have a slight edge in damage over Vanguard Veterans as well, but if you're just looking for a squad to take out infantry, the Vanguard Veterans are better, I think. But if you're looking to do some anti-vehicle with mass attacks and Thunderhammers, then the Death Company is where it's at. So I think we've got a good balanced list here. 4 HQ. I mean, I guess maybe a Librarian Dreadnought could count, you know. I guess technically you do have 2 Dreadnoughts here, so they'll either kill the Librarian Dreadnought or they'll either kill the Redemptor Dreadnought, but yeah, we'll score the list, and I think the list has a lot going for it. I think there's just a little tweak to be made, really, and I think it's an effective list, and I think it is just, I wouldn't run all 3 squads at the size of 10. I think you could probably run them all at 8. Or if you wanted to run a couple of them at 9, or maybe, you know, people, Forlorn Fury is valuable. Yeah, I mean, you could maybe keep the Death Company at 10 then, and move the Sanguinary Guard and the Vanguard Veterans down to 8s. It depends on how you play, right? I run my Vanguard Veterans in 5, and I always just drop them in the opponent's deployment zone with Storm Shields and try and go after either secondary objectives or to kill the opponent on their backfield objective. And the Vanguard Veterans are pretty great at that with the Storm Shields. So, and you certainly don't need a 10-man squad to do that. You can do that pretty effectively with 5 possibly, or maybe slightly more than 5. Okay, you know, this is a pretty, I'd say it's a pretty strong list. I'd probably put Gift of Foresight on this captain as well, actually. I'd spend 3 more CP on this. I would put Gift of Foresight on him. Gift of Foresight is amazing. That reroll 1 hit, 1 wound, 1 save every turn, so potentially 10 times over the course of the battle. And I think that's why one of the reasons I really like an Infernal Pistol on him, Gift of Foresight. You know, you can re-roll that 1 hit, that 1 wound with Infernal Pistol. You're usually in super close because the bike's got that 14-inch move. You're usually in super close. You know, like to get that +2 damage as well. So potentially you do 8 damage in a single pistol shot, and you can re-roll all the dice every turn. And then if you do get stuck into combat on the opponent's turn, you can start re-rolling your Thunderhammer hits. Yeah, it's pretty great. Okay. Yeah, so let's go ahead and score it. Oh, and then let's keep our cheap on the Happy Easter, by the way. If you weren't here at the start, Happy Easter, and enjoy the photo of the what is it? The photo of the flaming beaked marine jumping out of an Easter egg. A red Easter egg, no doubt. And it looks like someone actually stuck a transfer to it. That's ingenious. Alright. Cool. So, objective holding with 2 units of infiltrators is probably like a 7.5 or an 8. I mean, I'll say an 8. Infiltrators have a huge area they can screen, and it's very strong. I used Gift of Foresight last night on my captain on a bike, and it was so good. Yeah, Mark, I use it. I thought it was originally 1 reroll per battle round. I thought it was pretty strong with 1 reroll per battle round, but I reread it and realized it was once every turn. I was like, oh my god, this is so strong, right? I think it's possibly the best thing that we got in the Codex in 9th edition, honestly. I think any reasonably survivable character with that just became a hell of a lot more survivable. How's this list going to do against anti-infantry and horde? And I mean, I think it's going to do okay. It's not going to be able to shoot them very effectively, but I mean, it does have an absolute ton of lightning claws. It does have a ton of Death Company chainswords. It does have the 1 dreadnought, and it does have the 2 attack bikes. so it can do okay, but I mean, the enemy could potentially screen you against charging some of your key targets, so you may have issues with that. So I guess we're going with an 8 for that. How are we going to do against those high health monsters and armor and stuff like that? I mean, the Sanguinary Guard will kill that stuff effectively. They're just not going to be able to take much of a punch in return. But so we've got the Sanguinary Guard for that. We've got our Librarian Dreadnought, who has the potential to do, I think we worked out that he can do 33 damage in a turn in close combat. And you give him a melter gun as well, so potentially Librarian Dreadnought can do 41 damage in a turn. I mean, he's never going to, but it is scary. I mentioned how we could make this Primaris Chaplain better, but we haven't right now. But how he stands right now, I mean, he can do okay with Mantra of Strength. He can do 3 damage. We have a couple of Thunderhammers here. I really think you need to think about changing the bike and the Sanguinary Priest around, but if we put it back, it was just the Teeth of Terror on the Sanguinary Priest and no Selfless Healer. Sorry, no Gift of Foresight on the Chapter Master. So I think with a change there, you could probably push it up a little bit. So I think it's like an 8 as well, but I think that you wouldn't need to change too much. You don't even need to paint any new models, right? You just need to change a couple of your picks. Pick up that Wise Orator, pick up the Benediction of Fury, maybe pick up the Gift of Foresight, maybe give your captain on the bike the Teeth of Terror. He'll get more value out of it for sure than your priest. Something you have to consider about the priest is, right, sometimes you can't fight with the priest. And I guess what I mean by that is, like, in the game I played this week, I had a Centurion squad that lost a unit and I had a bike squad that lost a unit. And I kind of needed them in the middle of the map because there was a Leviathan Dreadnought that I had to deal with, right? So the Centurions on the bikes were in the middle of the map. I'm never going to throw my priest into combat with a Leviathan Dreadnought. It wouldn't have mattered if he had the Teeth of Terror, because the odds there are just horrific, right? If the priest doesn't kill the Leviathan, the Leviathan is literally going to munch the priest alive. The priest probably not going to get a save, or if he's going to get a save, it's going to be 6s. And Leviathan, I think its claw or its drill is like 2d3 damage, so it's going to average 4 damage. So, I needed my priest to be center board to do the healing, but like the only target to charge was the Leviathan, and like that's absolute suicide to do that with your priest. Your priest, keeping him alive throughout the game and rezzing a unit every turn is why we have him on the board, and healing units every turn is why we have him on the board. So Teeth of Terror, I get it makes him a lot better, and I guess against infantry, yes, sure you can charge in, but I guess I'd just rather have the Teeth of Terror on this bike captain, because like you're always happy to charge the bike captain, and if it was a bike captain, I would be like, yeah, he can try and kill the Leviathan, and you know what, if it doesn't work, it's okay. Whereas if it's your priest that dies, then you kind of just want that priest to be where he needs to be to res units and like avoid combat. So if you really want to take a relic on priest, I kind of think it's more of a defensive relic I would take. But that's just me personally. Okay. And then last and not mobility wise, I mean, mobility of the list is great, right? 2 squads of infiltrators, 3 10-man jump packs, the attack bikes. Most of our HQ are mobile. The chaplain on the bike, the captain, the priest, the librarian's even probably the most mobile if he does cast off wings. He can move in 18 inches. So mobility is generally very good in the list. Like I'd say like an 8.5, maybe even a 9. I mean, it's just it's just the Redemptor that's not mobile. So we'll say 9. And I did a trick this week that people maybe don't know, so I'm just going to mention it. Guerrilla attack on the Infiltrator squad. So I used that this week to move my Infiltrator squad from my deployment zone to the middle of the map near the enemy deployment zone and perform like scramblers, right? And I guess the interesting thing about that is Guerrilla Tactics lets you remove the unit from the board and bring them back onto the board in the same turn, because essentially during the movement phase you put them in strategic reserve, and then later in the movement phase, in the reinforcement phase, you bring them back on. So you can use guerrilla tactics throughout the game to get your infiltrators into key positions that you maybe need them to do, like deploy scramblers or some sort of other action, and generally I think it keeps them very mobile. It's 1 CP, so it's very cheap. So it's a good way to counter what your opponent's doing if you need to as well. Alright, and then specialization. I'd say this list is a tiny bit too specialized towards melee. I wouldn't say it's a lot, but maybe just a little bit. So we'll maybe say like an 8. But I mean, Kevin did say these were all the models that he had, and maybe he's looking to expand his roster. But I mean, this list isn't a million miles from what I'm running. I think it's a solid list. I think it can get wins. But I think there is a few improvements that could be made to it pretty easily. Just like one new model or one or two little changes to the relics. So hopefully that was pretty useful, Kevin. Thank you for submitting the list. And I will, happy to take feedback on it. And I also kind of want to say that when I do an army list review, I kind of recommend that you still play the list once before you make any changes. Maybe play the list once with my changes in your mind, and then see if you think that the changes I mentioned would help you or would not help you. But yeah, overall it's a good list. 41 out of 50. That's not a bad score at all. And I think like 2 or 3 tweaks there, you could easily push that up towards probably like 42, 43, maybe even up to 44. I reckon the highest scoring list I've ever had on the stream is like 46.5. And I actually reckon if I did my army right now, I'd probably score my own army at like a 43 or a 44, right? Because you have to make some sacrifices with every army, so you're not far away from that. I think it's a solid squadron of units. So let me know how it goes for you, and we'll move on to the next list. Run some proxies with friends. Yeah, I mean that's a great idea, Mark. I actually really like it. If you're not sure what to buy next, ask your friends like, hey, I think I want to buy this, but I'm not sure. Can I proxy a unit of the same size, or have you got a unit that I could borrow and run for one game? And I'll see if it fits with what I'm trying to achieve, and then take it from there. So that seems like a cool idea. So all right, list number 1, Kevin. List number 2 is Tom, and this is a Death Company list. I haven't looked at this list, but I don't think we've seen many Death Company lists yet, so let's check it out. Alright, list number 2. Tom on the Death Company. And if you are enjoying today's stream, then please hit that like button. Really, really does help out. So, okay. You mentioned a Death Company list. I think it's nearly 100% Death Company list. So I had to add an Incursor squad to satisfy list requirements. I have been also playing with the idea of this list for a while. I think it's actually pretty gnarly. I wouldn't want to have to deal with it. Also, the extra relic is mastercrafting the power sword for the captain, and he is Death Company. The Warhammer app didn't give me the option for those two. Okay, so this one's called Empty the Tower, brother. I guess you have to give your list a name on the Warhammer app. So Empty the Tower, brother, and we have we start HQ wise with Asteroth and Lamartes. Now we do not see these very often, so it's nice to see the named characters. Asteroth has Canticle of Hate and Mantra of Strength, and Lamartes has Exorant of Rage and Litany of Faith. What does Exorant of Rage do again? It gives you +1 to wound, right? I don't use it very often. Yeah, it's the one that gives you +1 to wound with melee. So I guess that only really helps you if the enemies have something that's stopping you get +1 to wound, because we obviously get Red Thirst. Or it helps you when it helps you in the turn following the charge phase when no one's charged, and you'd still get to wound on 3s with your chainswords at that point. And Litany of Faith to essentially give some of the Death Company, or any of the models around him, I guess, a 5+ feel no pain against mortal wounds. Tom, this list is for a friendly tournament that is coming up to get people back into the game after a year plus of not playing. Awesome. So, I'd like to see a photo of it. I haven't seen a photo of a full Death Company list. If you've got them all painted Death Company, great. Even if you don't, it would be cool to see. Alright, so we've got one Death Company Dreadnought with the Blood Talons. We got one Death Company Dreadnought with the Fists. We got 10 Death Company Intercessors. Wow, I don't know if I ever see many people running Death Company Intercessors at all. So we actually have 2 squads of 10-man Death Company Intercessors. We then have 2 jump pack squads of regular Death Company, Thunderhammers, 4 and 3, and then a bunch of Chainswords. We have a captain who has a Relic Blade, a jump pack, and a Storm Shield. It's funny, this is literally the character that I talked about in the top 10 units this week, right? He is Artisan of War, he is Gifted Foresight, he is a Master-crafted Relic Blade. This is identical. So you must have sent me this list a while ago. Yeah, on the 25th of February. Okay, definitely a while ago. Wow, the queue is quite long at the moment for reviews. But yeah, so you sent me this list about a month ago, and I basically just made a video on this. I hadn't even looked at it. So this guy is... I think this guy is great, actually. He kind of fits the role of that tough jump pack character that would... if I was going to run not a captain on a bike, this would probably be the character I run. I might run him with the Thunderhammer with 4 damage over the Relic Blade with 3, but I think both are pretty strong. Yeah. Okay, and then we've got 1 squad of Incursors, because we need to have a troop squad, I guess, for this patrol detachment. I guess this detachment buff is a Vanguard, yep. And then we have 5 more Death Company. So overall, we have 25 Death Company Marines with jump packs. We have 20 Death Company Intercessors. We have 2 Death Company Dreadnoughts. We have Lamartes and Asteroth. And I guess we've got 1 squad of Incursors and then 1 sort of tanky jump chapter master. Yes. Okay. Good morning, brother. Happy Easter to you. Yeah, happy Easter to you, and check out my little Easter picture. Where Lamartis comes in to the fore is if you run a chaplain as well, this allows you to double up on litanies. Yeah, I need to actually read Lamartis's rules real quick, because he can cast the same litanies, I think. Let me double check. I haven't run Lamartis in 9th edition, so let's just double check what he's got. Lamartis. This model knows the litany hate and 2 other litanies from litanies of battle. In your command phase, this model is on the battlefield. It can recite up to 2 litanies it knows, even if they've already been recited by another friendly model in this battle round. A unit can't be affected by the same litany more than once. Okay. And I think it said something about his litanies only work on Death Company, right? Is it Fury Unbound? No, so Death Company and Death Company Core and Death Company characters can reroll charge rolls. Death Company within 6 can use his leadership. Each time a model recites a litany, if that litany instructs you to select a friendly unit, the unit must have the Death Company keyword, right? So his litanies must affect the Death Company, essentially. And then his Crows uses 2 damage, which is fine, I guess, and he gets 4 attacks. On the other page, we have Asteroth, which is the Executioner Axe, is 3 damage, and he also gets 4 attacks. And Asteroth actually makes Death Company immune to leadership. So that's the real big thing about him, is he just actually makes them immune. You don't have to take the leadership test at all. And then he does have this special litany, Massive Doom, which can give them invulnerable saves, or it can give them +1 to hit as well. It's a pretty cool little litany. Do you know what? This is a cool picture, actually. I didn't even know. Here we go, Asteroth. That axe breaks all the time, though. I can't tell you how many times I've broken Asteroth's axe. Okay. Good to know. I've got 10-man blob of Death Company. Does anyone know if I need to find 32mm bases with them, or I can go with the 25? You can go with the 25. But I think it's better to go with the 32s. It'll let you get in base contact with more models. I think it's better. Give me 1 second. I'll show you what. But yeah, I mean, you can go with the models. Sorry, you can go the bases they came with. But yeah, see this. This is what I bought for my old guys. I was actually laughing. This guy has sold 3,200 units of these at $3.99. So this guy's literally made 10 grand selling these no effort base adapter rings. And what they are is literally just your 25mm base just slots into them, and there's no glue required, right? You can just make your guys on the base. You can just slot them in, and you can just slot them back out. Like, if you want to go one step further, like you can use green stuff and fill the gaps, and then just paint over the top of them, and then put texture paint on them. I actually did a video on this, but they're super awesome. I actually bought like a bunch. He also does 25s to 40s, I believe, or because that's what you need for the Terminators. If you have old metal Terminators and you want to get them, yeah, so you can also get these as well. Exactly, and look, it's like you bought this item. Yeah, so these are amazing. This will convert your old Terminators up to the right size as well. He's only sold 79 of the Terminator ones, so he's not making much money on the other ones, but the regular base extenders, yeah. So you can probably just buy your 25s and get some adapters like that. Set adapters on eBay for $3.99. Okay, well these ones that I just showed you on eBay aren't permanent. But I mean, you can make them permanent, right, with a bit of super glue, and I did glue mine in. But yeah, I think they're pretty great. All right, so Tom's list. And it's interesting, right? It's got very little fire support, if none at all, and it's gonna struggle because Death Company can't do actions. So I guess the only two things you've got in this list that can do actions are your captain and your Incursors. So that's going to make it difficult to play effectively and score on some maps, right? Like, you wouldn't really be able to ever take Raise the Banners, probably. You might struggle with something like Scramblers, unless your Incursors are going to guerrilla tactics all the way across the board. And, you know, one of the things I like to do sometimes is repair the teleport homer, and when I drop my Vanguard Vets down, do that. So yeah, it's a tricky one. And you're also going to struggle potentially to hold some primaries. I mean, you're going to smash into the enemy pretty hard with all those Death Company troops. And I think you can probably do something pretty interesting with the Assault Intercessors. You don't say what weapons they have, but I would hope that at least 10 of them have auto bolters, because if they have auto bolters, then you're potentially looking at like 30 shots, right? And you can pay 2 CP to fire them again, I think. I think it's called rapid fire. So potentially you get like 60 strength 4 hits with those Intercessors. So as they push forward, you can really you could really weaken some enemy lines before you charge them. And I assume you would charge with the Death Company Intercessors, because even though they have no melee weapons, I believe they're base 3 attacks, right? Death Company Intercessors. So you're going to be 4 attacks on the charge. You're going to be 5 attacks when Savage Echoes comes in. So yeah, although you have no melee weapons, you do still have 5 attacks, and you will have the +1 from Red Thirst, and you will have the -1 AP from Assault Doctrine. The only secondaries would be Oath and the one about having more in the deployment zone. You know, you could probably pick Relentless Assault as well. Relentless Assault would be okay. Sorry, Relentless Assault is the one you're talking about, the more units in the deployment zone. I'm thinking Blade of Sanguinius might be okay. If you chose this captain with the Blade of Sanguinius and you went after an enemy character with him, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to kill the enemy character, right? Oh, I didn't notice that you didn't have an Infernal Pistol on this captain. 1 second, because I think I think a jump captain doesn't have to pay any points for an infernal pistol. I could be wrong, but I remember looking at this before and thinking, oh damn, that's basically a free upgrade for him. Let me check. You've got the relic blade, the storm. Oh, you've got the storm shield, but let me just check. Captain. Yeah, you don't have to pay any points to take an infernal pistol on this captain. So essentially, it would save you 5 points. You would lose your 3. You would lose your 2+ save. So, but I mean, you do have that reroll save every turn. So I guess it's a question mark. I think an infernal pistol is great on this guy. It's just, I guess, a question of if you would lose your save. That makes it a bit tricky, right? Drop the Incursors, go big and home. No, I mean, he needs the Incursors to make out. You need a troop choice for this patrol detachment, right? I think this is it's an interesting list. I feel like it's going to be a very killy list. So I guess the way you're going to have to play the list is kill the opponent and get them off objectives that way, and it's really not. I play Band Angels so defensively, and I think people are starting to see that on the channel that I always try and like countercharge on the enemies. I never try and throw units away needlessly. I never play overly aggressive. I think I rarely, if ever, Furlong Fury. Is even worth taking shields and captains now with it only being a 4++. I mean, what the shield does, Gabriel, is it gives you +1 to your regular save. So if you think about your captain normally has a 3+ save, so it makes his regular save a 2+ save. So it makes him better against small arms fire. And in some cases, the Storm Shield will actually give you a 1+ save, which means you would actually ignore -1 AP. I mean, you always fail a save on a roll of 1, but it means if you got hit with -1 AP and you have that 1+ save, you would still save on a 2. So it's an interesting list, right? We're going to try and score it, but it's going to score a bit random, Tom, because it's going to be very difficult to know how it plays. I do think that maybe... I do think there's going to be some interesting things you could do here, right? With like the Death Company Intercessors, like if you're taking auto bolters and you're maybe rapid firing, and maybe there's something to be said about reserving one of the Dreadnoughts. Like you have plenty of CP, so you could definitely reserve a Dreadnought, and you could definitely Furlong Fury as well. It's a really tough list because I don't know how it would do. I guess for OBSEC you struggle though, and I guess for objective holding you struggle as well because you don't really want your Death Company standing around on objectives, right? You want your Death Company smashing into the enemy's face. The Angel's Artifice is great. That's why I run the Angel's Artifice and then run. Then I don't need the Storm Shield, right? I take the Infernal Pistol, and I like that combo. I think it's pretty good. Yeah, so I guess like 6.5, let's say for OBSEC, maybe even should be 6 because we just have that one unit really. But I mean, we've got so many Death Company that could just pile in and kill things. So we'll say 6.5. Anti-infantry, so you're going to struggle to shoot things away, that's for sure. But you are going to be able to destroy things with all the chain swords, and maybe you'll be able to destroy things with the auto bolters, right? It needs another Death Company Dread to round out the theme and offer heavier support. Yeah, I mean, I guess he could have another Death Company Dread and drop the Incursors, but then he would be giving up, I guess, 3 more CP for another detachment. So, I mean, I'd probably keep it as it is. Yeah, I mean, if you take Angel's Artifice, you have to give up your Mastercrafted weapon. So, but I mean, if you're possibly okay with that, and you take the Infernal Pistol, that might be better. I mean, when the Infernal Pistol hits and wounds, it's sickening. But I guess really it only happens like once or sometimes none in a game. So it's 50-50, right? Anti-infantry horde, we're gonna say 8, but I guess we don't have so much clear. And against monsters and vehicles, we're gonna say, I think. Do you know what? I think it's probably 8-5, and I think it's 8-5 as well on both these. I think the list is very killy, and I think the mobility is generally very good as well. We just have a few dreadnoughts that aren't mobile really. And like I said before, Incursors can use guerrilla tactics to bounce about the board, so that's absolutely fine. So it really just is specialization, and I guess like I think we have to go with like a 5, because being all Death Company is gonna cause more problems, I think, than it's gonna give benefits. And the problems are just going to be, as we said, it's going to be tough to score secondaries. It may even be tough to score primaries. But I mean, you can kill the opponents all over the map, so you've got that going for you. So I guess it's just a case of, do you manage to do the killing or do you not manage to do the killing? But we haven't really seen any Death Company lists, so it's interesting to see some. As I said, I'd love to see a photo of it, and let us know how you get on at your tournament with it, because easing everybody back after a year of not playing, it seems like a fun list to do that. Yeah. Nice deal, Rain. Okay. So yeah, thanks for the list, Tom. I was gonna say, normally I try and make sure that my my reviews help and they're useful and you can get something out of them, but I don't know if I was very useful in that. There's not too much. I feel like there's not too much I can say. I'm furiously painting to get them ready. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I mean we're all furiously painting. I was painting Bladeguard Veterans till way too late last night. I don't know if you guys noticed me rubbing my eyes all the time, but I am super tired today. I didn't sleep well, and I'm painting desperately to get some units finished. Plus my Asteroth and Lamartis are converted from Primarchs. Okay, that sounds interesting. Alright, well, yeah, share a photo in Discord or Facebook when you're done. That'll be super awesome. And thanks for sending in the list. It's a cool list. It's the Vanguard Patrol that I'm running, and I think the Vanguard Patrol is actually pretty interesting. It gives us a lot of elite options right now. You get 6 elites in those Vanguard detachments, and the funny meme is basically Blood Angels trying to stuff all their elites into the army list. The Patrol Vanguard essentially gives you 8 elite slots. I mean, you have to pay 3 CP to do it, but 8 elite slots is pretty good, and you only need to take 1 troop choice, and that's kind of what I'm running at the moment as well. And I was worried to run it because I thought, like, oh, you just have 1 OBSEC unit. That could be a real problem, but I mean, it is winning games, so yeah. All right, let's move on to today's next list, and that is from Anthony Emil. Hopefully. Right, let me update the thing. Which Primarchs? Good question, Echo Mirage. Alright, Anthony Emil. So, hello Commander, I would like to resubmit my list because I've been watching your videos and have overhauled. Note, these are all models that I own rather than the Eradicators. Without the Eradicators and Company Vets, I'm at 1750 points. I'd like to try and use the Tactical Marines and Company Vets because they're Road Trader minis I've had for over 30 years. Probably replace them at some point with Primaris Troop Choice. Comments on this would be much appreciated. So do you use your Vanguard Vets to hold objectives, then with one troop choice? Thanks for subscribing, Yixi. I have used the Vanguard Veterans to hold objectives. Sometimes what I would like in yesterday's game against the Chaos, I dropped the Vanguard Veterans into the enemy deployment zone with a view of killing his cultists that were holding his deployment. And normally maybe I would have just held his objective in his zone because it was actually priority targets, and if I held his objective I would have actually gained 2 victory points. But he had a 10-man squad of berserkers that failed their charge, and I didn't want them to make a charge next turn because pretty much whatever they would charge would be dead. So yesterday I used my Vanguard Veterans to charge the berserkers with lightning claws, and I think they wiped the whole berserker squad. I don't remember him attacking back, so I think they wiped them. But I have definitely, I think it was last week when I played against Sisters of Battle, we dropped the Vanguard Veterans down in the Sisters deployment zone. We killed one squad of 5 Battle Sisters. We went into another weaker squad of Battle Sisters that had previously been targeted by the Whirlwind, and we killed them. So I think we did that. The first squad we killed in turn 3, the second squad we killed in turn 4, and then in turn 5 we just chilled out in the opponent's deployment, holding his objective with the Vanguard Veterans. Vanguard Veterans are tough to shift as well, just because it's 2 wounds and storm shields. It takes a lot of fire to take them down. I mean, even if you fire because it's always a 4+ save, even if you fire I don't know, 4 or 5 multi-meltas, I think yesterday, I want to say that he shot multi-meltas at the Vanguard Veterans and we lost 1 or 2 units, and it was 5 melter shots. So the Storm Shield just always provides value. They make it very difficult for them to shift. So yeah, I mean, I have used Vanguard Veterans to hold objectives, and also sometimes I've used the Vanguard Veterans to do objectives in the opponent's deployment zone as well, deploy scramblers or deploy the teleport homer. It's easy ones to do. The Lioner for Lamartas and Cruise for Asteroth. You definitely need to share the photos when you're finished. It'll be cool to see those for sure. Okay, so we're on to Anthony's list, and he starts with 1 extra relic of the chapter, and he has 2 company vets, 1 with Power Sword, 1 with Power Fist, both with Storm Bolter. We have a Death Company Captain, Terminator Armor. This is interesting. Chain Fist, Combi Melta, Death Company Captain. We have a Primaris Chapter Master, Soul Warden, Archangel Shard, Iron Resolve, Mastercrafted Power Sword, and he's the Warlord, and he has the Mastercrafted Auto Bolt Rifle. Okay. And then the Sanguinary Priest, who has the Quittle. I don't run the Quittle very often, / I have never run it, but I think it's just the thing that gives you 3 inches to your auras, right? But we'll check. Relics. Is it a relic? Oh no, the Quittle is the pistol, isn't it? It's some crazy pistol that the Sanguinary Priest gets, or can get. Yeah, it's an 18-inch pistol that does strength 5 -3 2 damage, and if the attack is against an infantry unit, that attack always wounds on an unmodified roll of 2+ and a damage characteristic of 4. I've never seen anyone run this. I mean, 1 pistol shot. Sanguinary Priest has a 3-up ballistic skill, right? So I don't think that seems so valuable in that you're only going to probably get to shoot it 3 or 4 times a game. So 1 CP for a pistol that's maybe going to hit 3 times a game and is going to kill a single infantry. I don't think that's the best choice. Yeah, I really just don't see the strength in it personally. I mean, sometimes maybe you're not, if you're trying not to put your Sanguinary Priest into close combat, then maybe there's a little bit of advantage in it. But yeah, it's just a pistol. It's really not that exciting. All right, have Assault Intercessors, an Intercessor squad, and a Tactical squad. And I have talked about Tactical squads before, and I've said that right now I don't think the Tactical squads are competitive. They only have 1 attack, which is trying tragic. I know they did get 2 wounds, but yeah, I just don't think Tactical squads are competitive. What have we got in here? A Plasma Cannon and a Melthagun. I mean, the loadout's okay, but yeah, I mean, Anthony, the next thing you need to buy is a squad of Phobos units. Hey Dracula, yeah, we're doing good today. How you doing, man? So you need just buy a box of Phobos Marines and make 5 Infiltrators and 5 Incursors. If you're not sure what to do, if you have a preference, make 2 of the same. But that's what you need to do and replace this Tactical squad. It's a ton of points for a Tactical squad They've just got bolters. Bolters do not kill things anymore. The whole game's moved on. Zero AP. Like, I have a bunch of zero AP weapons in my army, right? Like, I have the Whirlwind with its 2d6 zero AP. I have two bike captains, both with like rapid fire bolters, zero AP. I have storm bolters and dreadnoughts. I have assault launchers. You know, and I fire them every game, and I want to say, like, over the course of a game, they do 5 wounds or something, right? So, like, at best, your tactical squad will do, like, 5 wounds and you over the course of a game, and you're spending 220 points on it. It's way too much. They're up in the Discord painting room. All right, cool. Let's have a look, shall we? I know this is not what we normally do, but let's have a look at these models. Nice. So this, I assume, is Asteroth? Oh, I like how you got the little blood angels thing on them and everything. Wow, okay, cool. The black wings are pretty sick. And then this will be Lamartus. Can I see him a bit bigger? Yeah. Ah, it's a Reaver helmet, is it? Yeah, these are sick. I mean, I guess if you have a lot of time and you want to make our name characters look better, this is the way to do it. Okay, so we have a squad of Death Company Intercessors, and these are Chainsaw Death Company ones. Again, we've got a plasma pistol and the sergeant. I think it's a bit of a waste of points. I'd rather see a power fist or a thunderhammer in the squad. Plasma pistols for me just aren't reliable. And again, it's just one attack, whereas if it was a thunderhammer, you'd get like 5 attacks with it. We have a regular dreadnought with multi-melta and storm bolter. We don't see too many regular dreadnoughts, but I mean, they're fine. They're cool enough. Happy Easter, Corbin. How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Cheap, happy Easter. We have a Reaver Squad, which, again, we don't see very often. Reavers are in a weird place right now. These Reavers have combat knives. So again, it's 0 AP. I mean, it's better than the guns, though, at least, because you get more of attacks. A Sanguinary Ancient. The Sanguinary Guard. Swords, axes, Infernal Pistol, Plasma Pistols. Terminator Assault Squad with Lightning Claws. And then Eradicators with Multi-Meltas. And it is 3 Eradicators, 1 Multi-Melta, and a Sergeant. Alright, I mean, to me, this list seems a little bit disjointed, Anthony. And I guess what I mean by that is the only reason to take the Sanguinary Ancient, I think, is if you're running the Wrath of Baal relic. And I would only ever take that if you're running 2 or 3 jump pack units, which you don't have. So these 130 points here need repurposed for sure. I'd probably look at maybe repurposing them into a little bit more fire support. I mean, you got 5 multi-meltas, but that's, or I guess 2 multi-meltas and 3 melta rifles, but they essentially shoot twice anyway, so they're multi-meltas. So you got basically 5 multi-meltas. I think you would need something else in there. You know, I think this is why the Redemptor always comes to mind, because he's a great option, because he gives you some clear with like the Flamer or the Onslaught Cannon and the Storm Bolters and the Plasma Gun. So maybe a Redemptor. You know, like I think I would definitely drop the Sanguinary Priest. I'd definitely make this tactical squad smaller and get some Phobos units. I'd probably look to... I mean, your HQ are actually fine. I was going to say I'd probably look to change something, but I don't think we need to change much with your HQ. But yeah, and then the one other thing that comes to mind is Reavers are a really strange place, right? Reavers are... I mean, they're cool that they're Primaris, they look great, but their damage output is just not there. So maybe there's something to be said about retasking these Reavers. So the Sanguinary Ancient and the Reavers are not. I don't think they synergize particularly well with anything, and I know you said you wanted to use the tactical squad. I mean, use it if you want to use it for a few games, but be prepared that, like, I think you need to try and phase out the tactical squad, and I'd probably try and phase out the Reavers and the Sanguine Ancient. You could probably put a squad of infiltrators in here. That would give you 100 points left over, like a 5-man squad of infiltrators. You get rid of the Sanguine Ancient, that gives you 230 points. You get rid of these Reavers, you're on 340 points. 340 points will let you take a Redemptor Dreadnought and 5 Vanguard Veterans with Lightning Claws. And I think you have 5 points left over at that point, so you can maybe like throw... when I say Vanguard Veterans with Lightning Claws, I mean 1 Lightning Claw and 1 Storm Shield. I think you can probably either throw the rocket pods onto the Redemptor, or you could throw an Infernal Pistol or something onto the Vanguard Veteran Sergeant. I think those are just way better options and way stronger. And I don't think the Sanguine Ancient is the worst, but I think if you don't have multiple jump pack units, I don't think you see value out of him. Plus, you're not running the Relic on him either, so I really think he's a... You know, if you go back and look at him, he's more expensive than 4 Sanguine Guard, yeah? So, and... you know, he's never going to do nearly as much damage or be nearly as survivable as 4 Sanguine Guards. So, I mean, worst case, you could actually just swap the Ancient out for 4 Sanguine Guard and you'd be in a much better position. So I've strongly considered as a cheap reserve unit to come in and do Scramblers and then cancel some OBSEC and threaten battlefield objective. I'm not sure. What have you considered Reavers? Oh, Reavers, right? As a cheap backfield objective. I mean, maybe. I just don't know if they kill enough, though, right? It's just those 0 AP knives that sort of scare me. Like, you can throw 0 AP stuff into an enemy and then just come away with, like, no wounds done. You know, yesterday Brett was throwing a lot of 0 AP stuff at my Vanguard Veterans, and it was just like 2+ save, 2+ save. Sometimes you can just roll 2+ saves for days, right? And maybe that was what was happening yesterday. So, okay, yeah, I mean, I think the list is a little bit disjointed. I think we have to change some things. So we'll try and score it, and I guess we'll see. So OBSEC, we're going to go with like a 7.5. I mean, you do have 3 troop choices and you have a big tactical squad, but I don't think they are the best choices. Simple as that. How are you going to deal with hordes and infantry? I mean, I think you might be able to do okay, but you don't have that much firepower. You're going to have to end up using like the Sanguine Guard or the Terminators, or maybe even the Reavers or the Assault Intercessors to try and deal with some of the horde stuff. So it's probably like an 8. But monster wise, I think you're going to struggle a bit. You have the 1 squad of Eradicators, which, I mean, it depends if the enemy doesn't pick those off. If they get picked off, you're going to really struggle. You've got the 1 Terminator Captain with this Chain Fist. Yeah. I think it's like a 7.5. Mobility is decent-ish. But I mean, I prefer if you haven't, you mentioned having maybe not bought the Eradicators. If you haven't bought the Eradicators, then I would probably say consider attack bikes. I feel like attack bikes gel more with Blood Angels. You know, they're faster, they're more mobile. You can get them where they need to be. You can zoom into you can zoom into half range to get that extra 2 damage, which is pretty important in situations. You know, yesterday when I was shooting against some World Eaters, because we managed to zoom the attack bikes into half range, it was 10 damage before I even rolled. So it was basically he had 5 fails against multi-meltas, and because I was in half range, it was 2 damage from each, so it was 10 damage before I rolled any dice to add on. So, you know, it was basically killing the model before I rolled the dice, and I could have rolled 5 ones and it would just still been 15 damage. So that's the strength of the attack bikes, I think, over the Eradicators. So yeah, I mean, I guess let's score the last 2 categories then. Mobility is a bit average, maybe like 7.5. It's not the most mobile list. Yeah, and I think specialization is lower as well. Like I think I'm not seeing much synergy, and I guess it's because it's models that you own from a while back. Um, yeah, attack bikes have been sold out for a while. It's tough to find them. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to come back in stock though. I mean, everything has been out of stock at some point. It seems like due to COVID, right? So everything should be coming back into stock at some point. Um, okay, and then yeah, maybe like we'll say 7. I don't know. I think we'll say 6. Like I think there's work to do in the choices for sure. And I also think you need to reconsider that acquittal. I don't think you're going to get much value out of it. I'd even like maybe consider master crafting this guy's chain fist or something. Oh, you. Yeah, I'd probably consider like master crafting this guy's chain fist, or give him gift of foresight, reroll 1 hit, 1 wound, 1 save, reroll 1 save on a captain and Terminator armor is going to be pretty useful. So yeah, hopefully that helps, Anthony. There's definitely things that you need to improve here. And the first thing I would improve is the tactical squad. I don't rate them at all. I think it's just the bolters I don't rate. Element Games had attack bikes yesterday, sadly not in a BA Commander bundle though. Well, that sucks. Maybe. Well, I mean, I'm sure you can order the bundle and they will send it out to you when it's available, though, Matt. I think there was a bundle that had attack bikes in it because they told me they made 3 Blood Angels Commander bundles. Okay, and then we're going to move on to list number 4 for today. So Anthony scored 36.5, and I think I think it could be improved reasonably easily. All right, so list number 4 for today. We're looking at a battalion with 1 extra relic, and we start with Company Champion, who has the Armor Indomitus. This is a cool choice for the Company Champion. And then 3 Company Veterans with Chainswords and Lightning Claws. So these guys could be used very effectively to score some secondaries, I think. I do like the little Company Veterans. I did run them once. Unfortunately, the list I run them in just made me have five characters, and it felt like it was too many characters. But maybe I played it bad. So I mean, there's that to consider. Okay, so Death Company Captain on a bike of Wrath. Is this a Flesh Tearers list? Yeah. Okay. All right. I was gonna say cool, because for a minute I was like, what the hell is of Wrath and Rage? Of Wrath and Rage is one of the Flesh Tear stratagems. I'm going to have to just double check it. And I'm also noticing that he's got the Severer, which is a Flesh Tearer's relic over there as well. So, of the Severer is basically it's kind of like the Teeth of Terra. It's a chain sword, but each time an attack is made with an unmodified wound of 5+, the target suffers 1 mortal wound, and it's +2 strength, -2 AP, 2 damage. And their Warlord trait, each time this Warlord makes an attack, an unmodified 6 scores an additional hit. So Death Company Captain, with this Severer, scoring additional hits and a Storm Shield. And the Sanguinary Priest is a very standard Sanguinary Priest. The Chaplain on the bike is the Manta of Strength. The Canticle of Hate, he is the Master of Sanctity. He is also Icon of the Angel. And he's honoured by the Arx Angelicum, so he can get Icon of the Angel. The stratagems for the Flesh Tears are just called slightly different, but honoured by the Arx Angelicum just basically lets him take a Blood Angel's relic. We then have 2 Intercessor squads and 2 Assault Intercessor squads and 1 Intercessor squad. A Redemptor Dreadnought with sort of the standard loadout, Macro Plasma, Rocket Pods, Onslaught. 2, 4, 6, 7 Sanguinary Guard, And then they all have swords. We got 5 more veterans here with storm shields and chainswords and lightning claws on the sergeant. Strange to have these veterans and not just make them Vanguard veterans. Like, what is the actual points difference between a company veteran and a Vanguard veteran? I don't think it's much. Company veteran, Vanguard veteran. Company veterans are 20 points per model. Vanguard veterans, I think they're 19, aren't they? Vanguard veteran, 19 points per model. Right, so what's the difference between a company veteran and a Vanguard veteran stat-wise? Because the Vanguard veteran's actually one point cheaper. Is it just like leadership or something? Company veterans. Where's Vanguard veterans? Probably right next to them when I'm being blind. Yeah, Vanguard veterans. Alright, 633442283. 633442283. So Vanguard veterans are literally identical to the company veterans. Right, they just don't have the bodyguard special rule. The bodyguard special rule means that if you're within 3 inches of a character, the enemy cannot target the character. Huh. There is a bundle with the bikes. Yeah, so do they have the bike bundles in stock, Matt? Because people were asking earlier that they were. Let me check. Element Games. Games Workshop. Blood Angels. Oh, it's not in stock. But stock is on the way, I guess. So the Blood Angels Commander Support Bundle is what you're looking for. A squad of 2 company veterans is really cheap and great for doing things like scramblers, engage on no fronts. Yes, the company veterans are really cheap, and that is kind of what you would do with them. I'm not so sure about 5 when you could just, for a few more points, take Vanguard veterans and give them jump packs, though. I mean, they do have the bodyguard rule, but I mean, is that worth it? Yeah, the conversion rates are just all over the place at the moment. Hydra, I think it's partly to do with COVID as well. Okay, and then the second detachment is Seth. 1 Intercessor squad, 4 Blade Guard veterans. No, 5. Sorry, 5 Blade Guard veterans. 4 Death Company, 1 Thunderhammer. The rest chainswords, and then the drop pod with the Stormbolters. Okay. So, deployment subject to change based on the situation, but the default will be Seth, Chapter Champion, 8 company vets in the drop pod, and Sanguinary Guard and Deep Strike. Alright, I'm with you. So that's why it's all veterans with no jump packs. They're all going in a drop pod. First, Forlorn Fury, the Death Company, either where I want the drop pod to come in to overwhelm that section, or on the other side of the tie down that flank. Sanguinary Priest will be nearby to hopefully bring back for the Chalice. Turbo Boost and Chaplain across the map, paying for Canticle of Hate. 20-inch move plus 6 aura means you should be able to get in range of the drop pod incoming. 3 of the veterans will deploy behind the drop pod to get 3 inches with the Chaplain and protect him. The other 5 veterans, Seth and the Champion, will charge now with a 7-inch rerollable charge, because the Chaplain is like under the Angel. To make sure Seth can fight twice, I'll keep the Champion nearby to use Angel's Sacrifice plus Armor and Dominus. Flesh Tears also have a strap for an extra 3 inches to consolidate, so might be able to wrap and trap or get far into back lines. 2 Intercessor squads hide in the backfield, while 5 Blade Guard and the Redemptor, escorted by the Captain and the Sanguinary Priest, march at the centre. And Assault Intercessors go where needed, which is probably also the centre. With the Chaplain hopefully alive and a lot of the screens cleared by the drop pod and the Death Company, turn 2 should be able to get in a good charge with the Sanguinary Guard, followed in turn 3 by the Bike Captain. If going second, remember as well, just so you know, the Bike Captain does have that 20-inch move in turn 1, guaranteed 6 inches advance with Turbo Boost. So if you need him in combat in turn 2, you can definitely get him there. If I'm going second, I'll probably not Forlorn Fury. Instead, for some heavy counter punch with my drop pod, Chaplain will do litanies normally, but the same strategy will be in place for the drop pod. I will focus on using it to clear some screens for the Vanguard. However, wings of fire on the Death Company is still an option. Secondaries, Oath of Moment. If the enemy looks elite and weak to deep strike, I will consider death from above. Second, Relentless Assault. Linebreaker depends on what they have in deep strike. Third, if I take Oath and Linebreaker, Blade of Sanguinius could be interesting to the amount of fighty characters and getting to choose in the first command phase, meaning if I go second, I can choose my character in the best position. Deploy Scramblers is also an option for my secondary company captain. Protecting the Chaplain could redeploy midfield turn 1. Otherwise, third one will depend based on enemy. Assassinate thin the ranks, engage, Relentless Assault, Linebreaker. Not sure what that last word means. Eye shard? Maybe it's a typo. But nice to see someone's thought about a lot of different secondaries and sent them as well, because sometimes it makes it easier to like look and break down what's going to be the strengths and weaknesses of this list based on, you know, the secondaries. Okay, so the HQ choices are pretty interesting. They're all good. We've got 4 HQ here. The Chaplain, the Captain, the Primaris, and then Seth. We have a bunch of Assault Intercessors and regular Intercessors. We've got a Redemptor. We've got Veterans in a drop pod. We've got Sanguinary Guard coming up behind. We've got, I think it was a Chapter Champion in the drop pod, and 7 Chapter Champion, 7 Company Veterans, and Seth. And they should all be able to re-roll, and they should all get +2 to their charge. So it's a very Alpha Strike-ish feel to the list, right? And I guess that's not something that I typically run, but we will try and score it anyway, because, you know, that's the whole point of the scoring. And I guess we'll see how it comes out. Now, sometimes I would penalise people for like not having any Phobos units in the troops in terms of points, and sometimes, I mean, yeah, I was gonna say. So it's a different list. You know, I would maybe penalise people for having an assault, for having no Phobos units, but we have these Assault Intercessors, and it is a very punchy list. So we are trying to get them forward as quickly as possible, get the Sanguinary Guard forward as quickly as possible, or maybe Forlorn and Fury, like some Death Company up. So the whole game revolves around this drop pod coming in, right? So the drop pod comes in, we get some great charges out of it in turn 1, and then it's whether or not we can back those charges up and keep the enemy on the back foot. If we can do that, we probably win the game. However, if that sort of stalls at any point and the enemy does start winning or fighting back, then we have some problems. So let's think about this. So objective holding, we have no Phobos units, but we do have 3 troop choices. Actually, was it 4? Because there was a second detachment, right? Yeah, it was 4. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna go 8-5 on OBSEC. Oh shit, changing the wrong column. Anti-infantry. I mean, if our Assault Intercessors can deal with some of it, then great. But I guess in terms of raw shooting output, we're down reasonably low, and I guess it'll depend a little bit on the drop pod placement and stuff, and what we can actually get out of that charges on the deployment. You know, how well have we screened? How many enemies are we going to be able to charge into? That sort of thing. Are we going to be able to charge into those key targets? Or are we going to end up charging into something that we don't want to have to fight, but it's in the way and we need to kill it? The units coming out of the drop pod don't have fly, obviously, so charges for them, they kind of just need to set up and charge at the closest target, right? They're not going to have a whole heap of options of things that they can do. Anti-monster and infantry, I think I'm going to go with a 9. And I think, you know, Seth's absolutely brutal. He can go twice in combat. The Death Company captain, you know, essentially with his being able to get his exploding 6s, I would probably give this Death Company captain the Teeth of Terror. You know that? And the Severer seems decent. I need to math hammer that. I mean, I guess the Severer is decent, um, but it might be better just to take the Teeth of Terra. Because the exploding sixes you get will get more benefit from Teeth of Terra because you'll get more dice, so potentially you'll get more explosions, right? Um, yeah, it's a really tough one to say. All right, mobility. Mobility is generally good, but I guess once the drop pod's down, we'll have a bunch of guys on feet and less jump packs and stuff than we probably normally see. So I guess like an 8. And then specialization, yeah, I think it's an 8 as well. A lot of this strategy resolves around the drop pod drop being effective. And I think in some games the enemy will leave spaces, you'll get that drop pod in, you'll make a bunch of key charges, you'll win the game you'll give yourself the edge and win the game. However, maybe in some matchups, the enemy can essentially like screen the drop pod effectively. In some deployment zones, that can be done. Maybe the enemy has a big squad of units, like maybe those new heavy intercessors, and they're gonna auspex scan you when you come in, and you're gonna lose a bunch of models. That could be difficult. So it's an interesting list, and it's nice to see a Flesh Tearers list, and I think it would do a decent job of killing the enemy. However, I like to play percentage 40k, I guess is the way I would probably see it, right? Like, and if you watch any of my games, and we are doing one game every week now on the channel, and I hate to say it, Tony and Mark, and I know you guys call me out on it, but we are building a win streak on the channel. We were actually on a win streak before lockdown, right? So it was an 8-game win streak before lockdown. I lost my first game back after lockdown, and then I've won 4 in a row. So actually, out of the last 13 games I've played, I've won 12. So I'm playing, and I've played everything, right? We play Death Guard, we play Necrons with that crazy OBSEC, we play Sisters of Battle with those Alpha Strikes, we play World Eaters with all those Corn Attacks, we've beaten Eldar. What else have we beaten? We've beaten Imperial Guard, Ultramarines. There's more. Iron Hands. We haven't beaten Tyranids yet, but we're going to play them tomorrow. And we haven't beaten Admech for a while. We haven't played Admech in a long time, actually. I don't think I've played Admech yet in 9th edition. So I've won 13 out of the last 12 games I play, right? And I guess what I like to play is percentage 40k. And I guess what that means is, like, I do not drop down a lot of my units. Like, I do not put a lot of things in Deep Strike, because when you arrive from Deep Strike and you have that 9-inch charge, you know that it's like a 50-50 chance to make that charge, right? You fail that charge, your units get exposed and they get killed. And I guess that's one of the reasons that I dropped the Death Company, right? I won a game against the Death Guard during this 13-game win streak, right? But I dropped down a 6-man Death Company. They failed their charge. They got charged by a Demon Prince, and the Demon Prince wiped the whole squad, right? The Death Company basically got no save against the Demon Prince because it was like -3, flat 3 damage. So basically at that point, I'm trying to roll like 3 feel no pains, and I need double 6 to keep any model alive with 1 wound. So no, we lost the whole Death Company. So that's why I'm now running Vanguard Veterans with Storm Shields, because I feel like if they fail their charge and they're exposed, the Storm Shields usually let them survive out that turn. And sometimes the Storm Shields will actually deter people from going after them, because like I've played against Andrew, and you guys know Andrew now, and he said to me, he's like, oh, those Vanguard Veterans have Storm Shields. I'm like, yep. And he's like, oh, well, I'm not going to shoot them because last time I shot 6 multi-meltas at them, I killed 1, right? So like, a little bit of luck with my saves on Storm Shields. So I like to play, I guess what I say is percentage 40k. So I don't like to throw units away, and I don't like to do actions that like if it's a 50-50 chance of doing something, I'm not really interested. Like, I want to do actions that are high, or a high percentage chance. And someone said to me, like, oh, or like Brett said yesterday, right? Like, oh, the dice were against me. I do feel like, apart from the odd game where the dice do suck, for the most part, although you're rolling dice, the game is won and lost on, skill and strategy, right? It's not really about dice. So being able to make that drop pod, make a bunch of 7-inch charges, get in against key units that are not screened, that's a lot of ifs. And honestly, it's too many ifs for me. So it's a high scoring list, but it's not something I'm going to play because it's too many ifs, right? Like, I'm going to play the percentage game and I'm going to play my army different. And I guess that's what you're going to see on my channel, right? And yeah, I mean, Death Company do excellent work. Reziel, Death Company will. I did a video that was a comparison. It was 5 Death Company, 4 Chain Swords, and a Thunderhammer against 5 Vanguard Veterans with Lightning Claws. And the Death Company do more damage. It's like between 10 and 20% more against most targets. However, the Vanguard Veterans are like 70 to 80% more survivable due to the Storm Shields. You know, that 4 up invulnerable save and 2 wounds just always provides value. So hopefully that lets you think about the list. And I think you'll win games with it, D-King, but I think you'll also come unstuck with it. So I think it's important to try and... I mean, Flesh Tearers are an interesting conundrum, right? Like, they want to be in melee combat, and when they are in melee, they're super deadly. And the list feels like maybe we needed a column here for, like, theme. And like, if this list feels like it would be a Flesh Tearers list, right? You know, I can just imagine, if you think of the lore, a drop pod dropping in with Seth and a chaplain and like 7 veterans and a company champion, and then just going ham on people. It sounds like a fun list. It sounds like it would fit the lore, but it's just not something I'm going to play. Thomas, I had a game where my Death Company with 3 hammers and the rest with swords only got 2 wounds on a Thunderwolf cavalry, and that was with a charge. Yeah, I mean, you do happen, right? I mean, if you've been watching my games, you sometimes you do roll like 6 1s out of 8 or something. It does happen, but what are your thoughts on Dark Elder? I'm having trouble because they're so point effective. Yeah, I mean, Dark Elder are in a really strong position. I haven't seen the new Codex, Dude the Man. I believe it came out yesterday, or... Yeah, was it yesterday? Or I think maybe some people had it last Saturday. I'm going to speak to Andrew, and obviously we're playing some games tomorrow. I'm going to speak to Andrew and figure out what we're going to do. Like, we're kind of thinking, because no one in our meta has a Dark Elder list, that maybe we need to just get one. And like, we'd all go in together and get a Dark Elder list that I guess we would kind of share, but also just use to play on the channel so people can see how the different armies do up against Dark Elder. So I don't know if I have the answers at the moment, but yeah, I mean, I guess we need to get the codex for them in the next week or so and figure out how we're going to deal with it. It came out last Saturday. Yeah, I know some people had it last week. I really need to check it out. But yeah, I mean, I guess the big problem is that we do not have a Dark Elder player in our meta. So I guess we're gonna have to talk about that and figure out how we're gonna sort that. Because if we go to tournaments, what's gonna happen is we're gonna struggle against Dark Elder just because we're not so familiar with them. And I have played them occasionally, and I do know that they were powerful before. So I guess, leave that one with me, Dude the Man, and we'll figure something out. I would like to just maybe commission a Dark Elder army or something, and then find out a tournament winning list for Dark Elder, and then maybe just buy the whole list and bring it to the battlefield and have somebody else play it so we can get used to it. It was the AOS Lumineth Elves. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to keep up, Mark. Honestly, I guess there's a lot of releases every month, and yeah. But I mean, if you have problems with specific units, leave them in the comments, dude, and let's see if we can't brainstorm how we could get around the problems you're having. But I do think that we just need to pick up the Drukhari Codex and maybe just an army as well. But yeah, I'll speak to Andrew about that, because I think over lockdown Andrew started Custodes, which is about his 7th army. So maybe he's ready to start an 8th army. and that would save me a lot of headache if Andrew just starts it. And if you guys want to, I've actually... So nothing's changing on the Blood Angels Commander channel, right? We're still going to do our Sunday show. We're still going to do our Monday night battle. And we're still doing our hobby hangouts. We're probably, we're still doing our tactics videos. So literally nothing is changing on my channel. But tomorrow I'm playing a game over on Andrew's channel. And I guess it's kind of a joint channel because I'm helping him with it right now. But I think the plan is that it's just going to be a channel where we play games. Games Workshop loves your money. So tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, I'm playing Andrew's Tyranids, and let me send you a link to the channel. And if you want to check it out in the morning, it's on here, isn't it? So the joint channel that we're working on is a very cool name. It's called Plastic Crack, spelt like crack grenade, Heads. I can't spell plastic. There's an L in there somewhere. Plastic. Still can't spell it. I've got an extra A. Plastic crackheads. Oh, and not crack not like crack the drug, like crack the grenade. Here we go. Plastic crackheads. So if anyone wants to join, and here's the stream actually tomorrow. So we're playing Andrew in the morning, and this will be where we do some extra games. So yeah, maybe, and basically our plastic is on the sprue here, which I thought was pretty cool. Brett drew this, so if you guys watched yesterday, you met Brett. So this is like his artwork. So and yeah, they are friends of the Blood Angels Commander. So if anyone wants to check out Plastic Crackheads, we're doing tomorrow. We're actually doing in the morning. It's going to be Blood Angels versus Tyranids. Then after that game finishes, it's going to be, I think, Death Guard versus Tyranids, played by Colin. And then that stream will end, I guess, about 6 o'clock. We'll have some dinner, and then we've got the Blood Angels Commander, Blood Angels versus Death Guard at 7:30 tomorrow. If we're not quite live at 7:30, it'll just be the other two games have run over a little bit, but we will be live for the Blood Angels versus Death Guard tomorrow night. So busy day of Warhammer tomorrow as well. All right, so D King's list, 42 out of 50. Sorry, 41.5 out of 50. A very Flesh Tearers themed list, a cool list, but just not quite what I'm all about right now. Okay. And yeah, I did actually really like that you mentioned some of the objectives that he's going to take, because sometimes if you send me a list and you say your objectives that you're going to take, it can really help. It can let me know sort of what you're thinking, and yeah, I think it maybe helps me maybe make some better calls on how you can improve your list. All right, this next list is by Thomas, and I see a Thomas in the chat, so maybe this is your list this week, Thomas. I think I asked you last week. I think we had another Thomas last week. So maybe this is your list this week, Thomas. So good day, Commander. I started playing last year, and the Blood Angels was my introduction. I love this army, and your content has definitely helped me adjust my list. I wanted to submit a list for review that's focused on our Death Company units. So 2 Death Company lists in a week, Benny. This list is mostly fluffy fun that I want to see if I could possibly hold up semi-competitively. The idea is that the Death Company Intercessors, filled Impulsors, move to the centre, followed by the Dreads to act as a disruptive hammer, then the HQ plus Firstborn Death Company Deep Strike to cause chaos in any weakened spots of my opponent's army. The troops and heavy support provide long-range support and midfield control. Okay. And this is... what I'm trying to say. I don't know. Alright, so it's a battalion. And we have a HQ. So we start with Asteroth. And he is our warlord. So I guess we've got the Soul Warden, Canticle of Hate, Litany of Hate, Massive Doom. So does Asteroth only get to pick one litany then? Is that right? Because he's got Massive Doom and he has to take it. I don't know. I haven't run Asteroth this edition. Or I think maybe ran him once, maybe before the Codex came out. This model knows Litany of Hate, Massive Doom, and 2 other litanies from the Litanies of Battle. So you're missing a litany, Thomas. Interesting. So I guess you've got Litany of Hate, you've got Canticle of Hate, you've got Massive Doom. I don't know what litany you're taking, but you're definitely missing one. I don't think the litanies are in the Blood Angels book, are they? They're in the Space Marine book. But do you know what? Mantra of Strength would be good actually on Asteroth. Because that would make his axe 4 damage. What is the strength of his axe normally? It used to be +2 strength. Is it now +3? Asteroth +2, so it would make him strength 7, -3, 4 damage. I'd probably take Mantra of Strength then. Gives him an extra attack as well. He only has 4 attacks, so that would boost him up to 7 attacks. No, there was another Thomas just in the chat a minute ago, Tom Harris. So maybe this is his list, I'm not sure. We then have a Death Company captain who has the Gift of Foresight. He has the Hammer of Baal. He has a Jump Pack and Storm Shield. So, pretty strong. I mean, yeah, I was thinking Mantra of Strength as well. The Hammer of Baal is interesting. I do wonder what does better with Gift of Foresight, because Gift of Foresight gives you that 1 reroll, 1 wound reroll. And I wonder if Gift of Foresight would be better with just a Mastercrafted Thunderhammer for the 4 damage. You made it a while ago. Okay, Thomas. Yeah, sorry. The queue for the queue for non-members right now is around 10 weeks. The queue for members is around 3 weeks, and I guess that's just the way it's going at the moment. Okay, so Hammer of Baal might be fine. I mean, I like the Hammer of Baal generally. I do wonder if there would be more damage if you had a Master-crafted hammer. I think it's about 50-50. Because if you think about it, he's going to get 6 hits. You're going to roll your hits on 3 pluses. Maybe you're going to get 1 or 2 misses against the 2s. You're going to get maybe 1 miss or something. You know, so you might do a little bit more damage with just a flat Mastercrafted Thunderhammer. But I mean, I think both Hammer of Baal and Mastercrafted Thunderhammer here are fine. And then Lamartes with Exorant of Rage, Mantra of Strength. I keep seeing people take Exorant of Rage. Is it to counter something like Deathwing? Or is it... Is there another reason behind it? Because obviously with the Red Thirst it provides no value, right? Troop-wise then, we have Incursors, Infiltrators. I think you could also switch the Death Company captain to be Warlord and give him the 2nd Warlord trait. As long as he hasn't joined... Death Company captains can't be given Warlord. So you'd have to leave the Death Company. There's a bit on the book. It's... Let me see if I can find it for you. I know which page I'm looking for. Just take me a second to find it. Down here it says... I'm pretty sure it's in this section here. A model inducted to the Death Company cannot be your Warlord and cannot be given any other chapter command upgrades. So, that's the one disadvantage of joining the Death Company there, really. Okay. Elite-wise, we have a Death Company Dreadnought who has the Blood Talons. We have Death Company Intercessors ×2, heavy bolt pistols and chainswords, power fist and a thunderhammer, and you said that they're going to be in 2 impulsors with shield domes. We then have a 10-man, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 10-man Death Company with 3 Thunderhammers. And then a Devastator Squad, which we don't see every day. 2 missile launchers, 2 las cannons, and the Sergeant, and then Eradicators. Okay, interesting. So a little bit different from what we've seen. So Exorant of Rage... Well, I would probably take... remember, he can cast the same litany as Asteroth is cast. So it might be worth taking something... I mean, I guess you've got the Litany of Hate. I actually don't know what else would be good. I mean, you could take the Litany of Faith if you're going to come up against enemies that do a lot of mortal wounds. I like that against Death Guard, because it gives you basically a 5+ feel no pain against mortal wounds, which I think is decent. But I mean, beyond that, there probably isn't all that much you could take. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Exoration is good if the combat lasts more than one turn, right? And the red thirst falls off. But I mean, if you've got, what have you got here? You've got 36. Well, it's not 36, is it? It's 24 chain swords and like 5 thunderhammer hits, or 24 chain swords and 5 power fist hits, or probably like 10 man death, 7 sixes, 42 chainsword hits and like 15 thunderhammer hits. I'm not sure how often in combat you're not going to smash through the enemy with that. I mean, maybe the smaller squads wouldn't, but the bigger squad definitely would. Especially if you include, like, you either have Asteroth's 4 damage axe in there, or if you have Marta's in there as well. And this is a cool Death Company list as well. I guess the one advantage this list has over the previous Death Company list was you've kind of balanced it with a bit of fire support, a little bit of transports, and a little bit of troops. So while it's not as true Death Company, I guess it's going to be a little bit more viable on the table, I feel like. So, interesting list, Thomas. I have never had the urge to run a full Death Company list like this. I do not have enough guys Death Company painted. I'm very slow. I'm very slow at painting in general, and painting black I'm even slower at. So, yeah, it's definitely a cool list, and I mean, I have a little concern over the fact that 2 of your HQ, actually all of the HQ are toughness 4, and I really don't like toughness 4 characters right now. I think they get wounded very commonly, and they're not super survivable. And I know people say you can screen your units or something, but like, I was playing against Sisters of Battle the other day, and in that list there was 2 multi-melt I forget what they're called, Retributor squads. So each Retributor squad, when it arrives from Deep Strike, can shoot at 36 inches. One of them's 36 inches, one of them's 24 inches. They can shoot like 12 multi-melta shots. So I honestly have lost my whole Sanguinary Guard to a volley of one of them. And then on a volley from the other ones, I lost like Dante and a Sanguinary Ancient. Like, it was just like, these things arrived from Deep Strike and absolutely brutalized my Golden Host in a single turn. There was nothing I could do about it. So, and I guess multi-meltas, you know yourself, they're -4, so like our Golden Host save on 6s and everyone's multiple damage. It's just not good. So yeah, a little bit of a concern about those toughness 4 characters. Like if someone runs that against you and they wound you on 2s, you could lose your characters and stuff very quickly. I mean, your melee units generally pretty good. The fact that they're impulsors probably draws some fire because people don't want Death Company Intercessors pounding out of impulsors and killing them. And the Death Company Intercessors do get a stupidly high amount of attacks. So you have that, you have the Death Company Dreadnought, you have the 3 troop choices, and they are all Phobos, which gives you a lot of options. And then you do have a decent bit of fire support. Maybe a little bit less than what I would recommend, but I mean, it's probably okay because you've got those 2 transports. The transports are probably going to draw some of the fire that would normally be directed at the fire support. So it's decent. And you asked, I think, if it could be semi-competitive. I think it could be fun. Maybe sort of mildly competitive. Maybe semi-competitive if you can nail the strategy around it. But yeah, it's an okay list. So let's score it, and was going to say, I do wonder if there was a way to give, because you've got lots of CP here, right? I wonder if this list would benefit from giving maybe even your company captain couldn't take it. Well, then I guess it would either be. I think it would have to be one of your Incursors or one of your Infiltrator squads to take Quake bolts. So you could shoot at the enemy to try and incur the +1 to hit in close combat for one of these Death Company units. Probably the Incursor squad, right? You probably deploy an Incursor squad quite aggressively, have one of them guys be armed with Quake bolts, just so that you have the advantage of, like, if they hit, all these Death Company get +1 to hit, and that could be pretty big with all these Thunderhammers, you know. What do you get here? Like 15 Thunderhammer hits. You normally hit on 4s. Hitting on 3s, you're probably going to end up getting like 2 or 3 more Thunderhammer hits. It could make a big difference. Take it easy, Dracula. Thanks for tuning in. It's very rare to write and find a really bad list. This has been far more positive than I thought. I'm a very positive person. I always try and find the positives in things. And this is why I always fight to the very last turn in every game of Warhammer. Like, never surrender, never defeat. Play your best, learn what you can, and move on to the next game. So yeah, I think you could run this. It's not going to be the most competitive list for sure. You're missing Sangre Guard, you're missing Vanguard Veterans with Storm Shields, you're probably missing a little bit of fire support. And yes, I mean, these 3 characters are all decent for going with the Death Company, but if you're gonna move a little bit away from the Death Company, I did a video just last week called the top 10 Blood Angels HQ units. You could go and look at that, and you could make a couple of changes. So we'll score it, and then yeah, I mean, that's something to be said as well, what Mark's saying, that like sometimes knowing your list really well can essentially win you the tournament or win you games, just because you know all the ins and outs and all the strengths. So objective holding, you do have the 3 Phobos units, and I like that, so that's a good start. We're going on 8.5. I think actually the last list, let me double check. I haven't done. Yeah, no, I think it's a 9 for 3 Phobos units. I was going to say, I don't think many people have done 3 Phobos for a while, but I do think 3 Phobos gives you 9. Anti-infantry / horde. Well, we have a little bit of firepower. We've got a couple of Stormbolters. We've got 1 Devastator squad. We've got Melt Rifle. We've got the 3. So I think anti-infantry horde is probably around. I mean, there's been a lot of 8s today, but like, to get up to like 9, I guess, on this one, you need to probably run in something like a couple of onslaught cannons, maybe like a couple of bikes that have like a load of stormbolters, or they are basically stormbolters on the bike. Stormbolter shots, maybe a couple of flamers. Like I run Centurions, so that gives you potentially 36 flamer shots per turn. So maybe you just need a bit more clear if you want to score higher in there. This is a good number of Thunderhammers, and it's also got like a couple of las cannons, a couple of missile launchers, I guess 6 Melta shots per turn. The captain, Hammer of Baal, 3 damage, Asteroth, potentially 4 damage. So it definitely has a decent amount of damage coming out. I think we go with a 9. Mobility is generally pretty good as well. The Phobos troops are the most mobile troop choices you can get. You've got 2 Impulsors. I mean, your heavy support aren't mobile, but they don't particularly need to be. I do prefer attack bikes myself over Eradicators. I think it might have been Mark that taught me out of running Eradicators and into attack bikes, but attack bikes are generally very, very strong. So for your mobility, I think we'll do like an 8.5. And then Specialization. I think we have to bring a little bit down on Specialization here, because you don't have all the strongest units that you could be running. Your fire support isn't quite as much as maybe I would like. You have spent 250 points on transports, which is a lot. I mean, maybe you get some value out of the transport. You can go sit on an objective and maybe it can contest an objective or something. But at the same time, 250 points is like an eighth of your army. It's an eighth of your army that's just transports. I suppose it depends on how much firepower they can soak up. But yeah, so I think we go with like a 7 for specialization. And I think that actually brings you in. Same as D King. So 2 interesting death. This has actually been an interesting stream in that we've had a Flesh Tearers Alpha Strike list. We've had 2 Death Company lists. We've had Emmanuel who needed a little help. I think he's a new player. And then I kind of even forget what Kevin did. Let me just look back. Oh yeah, Kevin had a very similar army to list to mine. He just needed to make some tweaks. So I guess 3 decent lists this week, right? Kevin, Thomas, and D King. D King, I'm not sure how he can make his list much better. Thomas, I think if you just focused your listing a little bit, maybe change out a HQ and maybe if they're like, maybe if you would be okay dropping 1 Impulsor and 1 squad of Death Company Intercessors and like taking a Redemptor Dreadnought, you might be in a really strong spot. You could actually probably drop the Devastators as well and take 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, and that's what I'm running, 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. That would be super strong, and you know, why if you want to keep the Death Company theme, then paint your Redemptors black. I mean, they'd look pretty cool black, I'm sure. I was actually kind of considering it because I think I actually need to buy a 3rd Redemptor just so I have more weapon options, because one of mine is an easy to build one. But yeah, so that could be improved slightly, and then Kevin's list could also be improved pretty easily as well. So yeah, cool. So that's us today, and I will post all the lists into the comment section of YouTube after we're done. If there's any final questions in chat, go ahead and just let me know what the questions are. If there's any, my friend is painting up a Death Company Redemptor, then it was like it was a match made in heaven, Thomas. If there's any other questions, post them in chat. If you enjoyed today's stream, please hit that like button. It definitely helps the channel out so much, so it's much appreciated. And yeah, so we'll be back tomorrow for a live game against Death Guard, and also if you want to check out the plastic crackheads in the morning, you can do that as well. We will be streaming Blood Angels v Tyranids and then Tyranids v Death Guard. Yeah, enjoy your work, don't work too hard, and oh, you're very welcome, Mark. No problem whatsoever. Cool. So yeah, happy Easter, everybody. I have one question about Redemptors. Go for it, Gabriel. Absolutely. I love my Redemptors. I will be using them tomorrow. I actually need to get my whole army set out so we can get a photo of them. Have you done a video on the laser destroyer yet? I have not. It's on the list to do. Matt, thank you so much for becoming a member. It's so awesome to get members. We seem like we're getting new members every day, so thank you very much. If you connect your YouTube account to your Discord, you can get access to the members only room, so you can talk to me there all the time basically. And there are member only posts over on the community page of the channel, and we are actually going to do on one of the next I was going to say this Friday. I'll write this down so I don't forget. I actually have like a notepad file where like I was doing, I was taking notes of the videos that people wanted me to do. Right, so we did a video on the top 10 units. We did a video on the top 10 HQ picks and why. Someone wanted comparing Corbulo and the 2 named chaplain characters against the generic Primaris equivalents. There was some questions about a new player. I have on this list, Tom, to make a video about Laser Destroyer and compare it to other some heavy support. We did the video on Ironclads. Someone wanted to see a video on Flyers. We've done Ironclads. So in the Dreadnought video, I'm pretty sure you said you could save them with smokescreen. Is this my case? That was Redemptors do not have smokescreen. I don't know where I got that from. Sometimes I make mistakes, Gabriel. Redemptors don't have smokescreen. At that point, I don't know why I thought they did. I just hadn't run them enough. Like, I don't know if they ever had smokescreen last edition. Maybe they had it last edition, and I got confused. Subscribed to Plastic Crackheads and got my red helmet. Yeah, thank you so much, Matt. Please hit me up if you have any questions. It's much appreciated. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if Redemptors need smokescreen though, right? 13 wounds, 3+ save. You can use Psychic Fortress. I really like using Psychic Fortress. I get a lot of value out of Psychic Fortress when I remember to cast it. It's very good. So I use Psychic Fortress with the 13 wounds and the Duty Eternal. I think they generally survive pretty well. I think the enemy needs to focus a lot on them to take them out. And it's like a lot of melta-gun shots or multi-meltas. And no, thanks for asking. I do a lot of tactics videos, and sometimes mistakes do skip through. I feel like I do less mistakes now. Like I remember when I first started the channel, like it was like every video had a mistake in it, and I don't think I make many mistakes now. But yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, so Tom Harris, I think we're going to do the Laser Destroyer next week. I'll try and put it in next Friday. So like I'll aim for like Friday the 16th maybe. And I think this week we're going to look at stratagems. Been watching a while, so I figured it's time to contribute. Do you know whose list you're doing next week? Yeah. Have you submitted a list previously, Matt? Because if you have, I will bump you up the queue now that you are a member. Next week's lists were supposed to be Steve, Tom, Solus, and James and Slaumir. I hope I'm saying that right. And then 3 weeks ahead was Mohammed, Gareth, Connell, Will, and Alex. Actually, no. So that they're now 2 weeks ahead. Sorry. And then I guess 3 weeks ahead now was another. I guess we have a lot of Toms around here. And I guess like I kind of leave spaced every week so that there's spaced if members submit lists. So if you haven't submitted a list, Matt, or if you have, here you are, Matt Grounds. Yeah, okay, Matt. You were going to be done in 6 weeks. You'll now get to be done in 3 weeks. Membership has its perks, baby. Okay, thank you. Cool. And if you need to change your list because we're always talking about new things, just drop me a message on the community tab or something with your new list, and I'm happy to update it. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think I might actually buy it. I'm in two minds. The next thing I'm going to buy is a Laser Destroyer or an Ironclad Dreadnought. I think both of them are pretty awesome. I don't know how I would fit either of them into my current list. I don't even know if I want to fit either of them in my current list, but I think they're both awesome, and I generally just want to have them for... At some point, my current list is going to lose, and I want to make some tweaks, and that's what I'm thinking would fit well, the Ironclad or the Laser Destroyer. And we did do that video it's called Brawler Dreadnoughts for a few weeks back, if you want to check that out. So cool. Thank you so much for the people that subscribe to their channel as well. And hopefully maybe some of you guys will come watch in the morning. You'd be very welcome if you're free tomorrow. Come hang out and we'll watch. We'll play against the Tyranids. And yeah, the video and the list for the Death Guards is up as well. So it's going to be Mortarion we're fighting against on Monday night. So that should be pretty fun too. So, alright, I'm going to call it a day. I will be back tomorrow for a couple of live games, and then I'm sure we'll see you at some points during the week. We've got a few different videos in the works, so thanks again for watching, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and happy Easter, and I hope that wherever you are, you're staying safe, and hopefully we'll all be back to the tabletop soon, and the world will be back to normal, and yeah. Appreciate all the support as always, and thanks again to the new members. What time are you kicking off in the morning? 9:30 UK time tomorrow morning, so bright and early, and we're playing 2 games on the other channel. It'll be Blood Angels Tyranids and then Tyranids Death Guard, and then tomorrow's game against Death Guard is aimed for 7:30. But if we're not quite live at 7:30, it just means one of the other games is just finishing off. So just be aware that, I guess, if any of you guys are in the chat at 7:30 tomorrow and we're not live, just someone please tell them that we are on the other channel and we will be trying to start on time at 7:30. So I have next week off. Nice. Oh, I'm jealous. Enjoy your time off work. You should have one from me in there. Yep. Okay, we've moved it forward, Matt. So that's awesome. All right, cool. Have a great weekend, guys. And we'll see you soon. And if we don't see you this week, I'm sure we'll catch you on the stream next week. And yeah, please come over and join our Discord, join our Facebook, like the video, and talk to you all soon. By the blood are we made. Peace.